We are live. What do you got there, Scott? I see you paging through something.
Oh, you know what this is? This is the greatest book ever. This is the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. I had these in single. This came out when I was a kid, I believe. They've done it a couple times. But what's great is look at the reference photos of like
Oh
it's
yeah.
from, the 80s. So if you want, I've been using it on this on my Bronze Age stuff, and I want to drawing a Morbius since that movie's
Is
coming
there
out tomorrow.
one workhorse artist that did almost all those, or not? Or is it all artists?
I don't
Lots of them.
think so.
Because it seems
It's
like there's
all
kind of a
John Byrne did
unity.
quite a few of them.
Oh, really?
Well, this was back when they had to be on model,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know. So I mean, I would argue that uh, that's one of the hallmarks of Marvel is that they had a house, and that's something that people when they went away from that, some people were like, oh, finally we get all these crazy styles. And I
Hmm.
kind of lament the fact that the characters look so off model. Of course, now the models change, so I don't know what the model's supposed to look like for a lot of
Yeah.
these characters. But anyway,
Well,
we
a lot of people find that stultifying to be on model in the animation industry and all that, but it is just a kind of one of those things. I mean, that's the reason your character designers work so hard to give you appeal in a certain character. And but I can see, wanting to, change it. Obviously, guys, animators like the guy that did Ren and Stimpy, he was chomping at the bit to go off model for all his stuff, you know, and have a lot of fun with it. That's the point. Are these people having fun when they're off model? You know, are they adding anything to it?
well, I think my so I would argue no.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's kind of what, but it's not really. It's more to me. It's more. There's something else about it, but to me, the model's good because it gives you some consistency.
hmm,
I mean, and people that say, well, I would argue that even now Marvel has it. They just don't make them. Marvel has kind of a style. They always have. There've been always outliers of people that didn't quite do exactly like everybody else. Like a Walt Simonson or
hmm.
a Gene Colan, for example. I mean, even back in the day, those guys had their own different kind of style. But I think working on models, I think it's good for consistency.
Sure. Uh,
You
there's a
know,
guy that I thought of when I saw how much you grid yourself out at when you working, and you get that from Burn,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's got a little tutorial which I've linked to called the envelope method or something like that. But basically, he's just showing you how to transfer using just strictly the geometry and the angles that anybody that can draw an angle faithfully, and all that requires is holding your pencil from one area to the area you're going to blow up or reduce to, and just drawing it across. And right there, you've got those angles. Those are nice fixed reference points now. And if you had
Yep.
a
It's
similar
well,
set of angles
there's a
on
method to
a
my madness.
sure. But anyway, people should check that link out if you're ever want to see the truth of what I'm
Ellis,
saying
you
all the
keep
time.
dropping out.
Yeah. And my suspicion is always that it's going to be you that's having the trouble. I'm almost like Scott Adams at this point. I'm ready to say, it's you. And of course, it's always him. I mean, he's always yelling at people. He's always yelling at his audience. You're going to get zapped if you keep saying that. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, we've got a nasty delay too, as usual. I don't know how to beat any of this. I guess I ought
Oh,
to
do
do.
we really?
I guess I ought to do some research on beating the delay in Streamlabs or something, or see what typically causes it.
Yeah. Am I dropping out? Can you?
No, you're not dropping out. It's just that you'll say something that we just aren't right together as we're talking, which is to be expected. Not right together, but we ought to be a little closer than what we are.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I want to draw tonight, or start drawing, I don't know if I finish it. I want to do I thought about this. I want to do, because Morpheus is coming out tomorrow. I want to do a Morpheus and the Punisher for my next Bronze Age battle. I think that'd be a good.
That's a good way to get attention
fight.
To your art, is to make it topical on somebody dying or something like that. Do a quick piece.
And so I gridded my page because I want to show them falling out a window of a building.
Cool. Get the perspective going. Yeah. I am getting ready for my next oil painting by making sure I've got all the notions worked out, and then I'm going to. That's why I'm so into transfers anymore. I'm going to have this all worked out, and then I'm going to preserve the drawing of whatever I do. That's my big deal anymore, is like preserve the drawing in the oil painting. And we'll see how it comes out. I've got one of my Bat-tobers.
Batman came out pretty good.
Yeah, it's still working on it. It's one of those things where it's like, I should be working on this. I was having fun. Do it again. I'm listening to Solomon Kane while I'm working, and having fun doing it.
Oh yeah.
And but then I find it a little late in the evening. All of a sudden, it's like, nah, I'm not going to do it. Actually, that is when I work usually. It's like, okay, it's late. Let's get something done.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Well, this is, I'm just working with opposites right now. It's like I've got one light Batman on a dark background. Now I'll try dark Batman on a light background. See which I like better. Yeah, I've printed out 4 of them next to each other or on the same page. I can do some destructive work on Xeroxes.
Oh, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I need to enlarge my figures a little bit.
There you go. Measure. Get that measurement right first. I watched half of, and I made a point of figuring out exactly when the halfway point is, when he's talking to that girl that says, I got to tell you the movie first, Blade Runner 2049. Yeah. When he's talking to he's talking to that girl in the bubble that I guess is transplants memories, while he's talking to her, and he's about to have an emotional outbreak. That's exactly the halfway point.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. In case you're trying to pace yourself for a 2-hour, 43-minute movie. A guy, I guess he specializes in kind of long movies. You know, the Dune movies, super long.
Oh yeah, I couldn't make it through Dune, man. Too
Well, I'm
much.
just
It's
about.
just
Yeah, it's tiresome. A little bit of it. It's all court intrigue, and you've got to be into the world building of it all. And, yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
so. What'd you do
Not
today?
well. I listened to the audiobook of Dune on the way to my walk, my daily walk, and it's at an interesting point.
Oh yeah.
But it shows you that the Dune, the story you saw David Lynch do that has gotten so much recent harsh criticism as being goofy and all that. I don't know. I think he very ably picked out the most, he pulled shots out of it the same way a good storyboard artist has to decide what is the important parts and how, he got the same visuals that the recently acclaimed director kind of keyed on as well. So,
Is it Villeneuve?
Is that his name, Villeneuve? Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, I like that one too. That would be fun as makes it a strong silhouette. Could splash in a little lighting. Oh, I could do that'll be the next one. I'll do a strong cookie light. I wanted to defend myself so much. I wanted to find a definition right there on the spot when one of those guys at the cinema podcast we used to do, they acted like it was classic cinema podcast. Yeah. And I know it was probably David. And he acted like he'd never heard of such a term as a cookie in theatrical lighting, which,
I don't think I have. What is it?
Well, it's where you put a little silhouette or whatever between your subject and your thing, so it casts a shadow. So you cast like, a menacing cat head or something like that onto your subject or something like that. That'd be a goofy instance. It'd be more likely that you'd do something like move little leaves in front of it or something like that. Give yourself a kind of a caustic effect. The artist I never can pronounce that word.
Atelier.
Atelier.
Okay, I wanted to show you this book. Now,
Okay.
I showed you the book I bought about painting.
Uh-huh.
This guy that wrote this book, a little bit cheaper, $20, but it's off of Frank Riley's lectures.
Uh-huh.
And this book has a lot of good theory in it, but here's the problem with this book. The layout is so terrible.
Oh yeah. It's basically the Xerox that are fundamental.
I think it's the handouts and
Yeah.
like it's like early computer graphics. But
yeah, done with an Apple or something. Yeah.
Right, an Apple II. Yeah. But it's got such good information in here. And I think you're right. I think it's the notes, because that book that I bought is a lot of this stuff, and it's exactly the same computer graphics looking stuff.
Uh-huh.
But it's I mean, look at
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And see, it's got the Riley method. It talks about the Riley method. The 6 structural lines of the body. And it's got it broken down, but it's so unappealing looking.
Yeah, it's not very
You
appealing,
know.
and that does dictate a lot about whether or not you buy a book or whatever. Yeah, those are all just handouts to go to a class while they're doing figure drawing, or more importantly, as far as a moneymaker for the artists, they're seminar handouts. It's like
Oh yeah.
there's a Bridgman lesson that's not terribly well done. I'm looking at that
Yeah.
one bicep. How that pronated muscle goes way up the arm.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
right
Yeah. Yeah.
there, that it does go up there pretty far, but it doesn't bulge all the way up there. It goes
Yeah.
up pretty far, but it doesn't have the bulge.
Well, if I didn't, I woke up the other night and I fallen asleep on my arm, and the pain went. I can tell you exactly where a muscle is because the pain went all the way up to
Uh,
that bump out down my arm into my middle finger or
yeah.
my middle finger. Anyway, I don't think I've ever showed you this book.
Yeah, no,
You
that's very familiar to me. I've got some of that stuff loose leaf myself that I've put binding on. It looks like exactly
yeah.
like what I've got handmade books of.
Anyway, back to my back to my Morbius and
Mhm.
Punisher. But anyway, I thought that'd be interesting. I
Have
wanted
you
to
got
show you
any?
that.
Now you're going to draw Morbius and Punisher, and you're going to start full size. Do you not think you maybe ought to knock out a couple of dinky little thumbnails before you do it?
I did some thumbnails at work.
Okay, so you know what you're
I'm
doing.
well. I don't know if I go that far.
That's I think that's true of all of us. I don't know if I'd go that far. I know what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
I just know what I'm doing. Why? How would that be? How would that work
Where'd
out?
you get that impression? Yeah, I got that walk in today. It was a very pleasant day. Wind was down exactly 10 miles slower than it was yesterday. That makes a big difference.
Oh gosh, yeah, especially in Oklahoma.
Yeah. And what was the temperature? It was about 45, 50. So it was pretty tolerable.
Yeah, if you went at the right point, there was actually some sun out.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I got a lot of sun. Yeah, I like that dark Batman. That would be good. This Joker can be dark and pop out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's good. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and
I
his
had
eyes will go over that way. Go
I
ahead.
was looking. I was looking through one of my copies of what's your second sketchbook? The with all your in-world stuff in it.
Oh, it's called
Uh,
Sticky Doodle.
Sticky Doodles.
Hmm.
Oh, it's our Sticky Doodle.
Yeah, that one's
Looking at
got
Sticky
more
Doodle the
actual
other night.
stuff where I actually put some of my freelance in there. Maybe I don't know if
Yeah.
I probably should have totally cleared it, but heck, it was my art. I put some of the stuff I did because I was really proud of that stuff I did for those Halloween stories, which inspired my own little book that I did later.
Oh yeah.
Which I did for, now I'm drawing a blank. It irritates me
Jeff
to
Provine.
Jeff
Jeff
Provine.
Provine.
Great guy, great
Oh,
underwriter of
absolutely.
artists.
Done a lot. Done a lot of for a lot of people in Oklahoma City because
Yeah.
he does a comic book thing called Okie Comics, which is comics written and drawn by Oklahoma creators.
If everybody in the world had the casual approach that Provine has to how easy it is to be an entrepreneur, we'd all be just fine. He just acts like, we'll do this, we'll do that. He's just that kind of guy. He's got
Yeah.
haunted mansions tours.
Haunted tours.
He
He does
he
haunted
teach
tours.
he teaches elective courses at OU, and it's like, okay, there's 3 different ways that the guy makes money, and then as you mentioned, that little publishing venture, which I don't know if he's ever made money at it, but it's certainly something I bet he
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
could
I mean,
potentially he could sell it for one thing eventually if someone says, hey, I like this. Who owns
yeah,
this? Let me buy it.
yeah. Well, I don't know if they're
There's
still
always that
giving them
potential.
out. I mean, I see them floating around, but I don't
Hmm.
know if, at one point they were giving them out all around town.
Hmm.
The model is like a free pay for anybody that's out there listening to this. The model's like a free paper,
Yeah.
basically, but and Oklahoma City already has a free paper, but this is a free comic book.
Hmm.
It's tabloid sized, I think. Yeah, it's tabloid sized. But it's the comic book. Um, it's a shame that he's never been able. I mean, maybe he's had the opportunity, but he chose not to take it. But it's a shame that he hasn't had the opportunity to team up with the free paper here in town. That seems like that'd be ideal.
Hmm. Well, yeah, there's always that.
But
They always call them the reader or whatever for your free paper.
yeah, yeah.
Here, you're a reader. You're a rare animal. You can read.
Well, you can read.
Pick this up and read it.
That is a rare animal nowadays,
It
I
can
think.
be. Well, it's part of our, people just going right through our wacky education systems without being given life skills. That's
Oh yeah, I don't
probably our biggest problem.
probably. Yeah.
Coming out of college without a life skill and owing $100,000 for the trouble. That's a problem too.
That is a problem. And I know people that
They're there.
I work with a guy that and now he's been out of school longer than I have. He's a couple years older than me, and he went to the same place I did, a place called Platt College, which is
Hmm.
basically a vocational school.
Hmm.
And he came out, and then he got a job, and he was on the kind of the tail end, or he got a job about the beginning of like mid '80s. So computer stuff was kind of coming out, but not quite yet. And he just had a bad luck of working at places that went out of business.
Hmm.
And the every time someplace went out of business, he'd go back to school. And now he works at my work, and he's not, he's overeducated for what he does. It's just the kind of
Hmm.
I mean, I feel sorry for the guy because it's like, he owes
Life
money.
should have treated him better. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I have a friend that I would definitely say that about, but he's had it worse. Most of this guy's bad luck I would call self-inflicted, but
Hmm.
but I mean most of ours is, right?
Oh yeah, most of us.
You know,
All of
or
my
at least
stuff
that's
is based on just not finding not doing the deep dive for the energy to keep myself out of trouble on money problems and stuff. And not saying, not having a good, meaningful, concerted effort to say, okay, go after this. I never when I lost my final game job.
yeah.
I just mentally said to myself, I'm just too damn old. And I was probably right, but if I had put together some sort of super selling tool for myself, it wouldn't have mattered. I could have sold myself.
Yeah,
As we
you
know,
absolutely could.
as we know, they always need people that show up is what you mostly need. And I was always just a champion at showing up. So
Yep.
that's really all you need. But I completely lost the, like I say, the soul to go out and do it again. And
Well,
you need it.
I would, yeah. I mean, a lot of times in life, we're our own worst enemy for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
You know, and that is an example. But this guy, he just had bad luck. But like I said, I wouldn't call him like, yeah, most of his. I think he made some poor decisions. And he was married to somebody that was kind of a shrew. And that
hmm
never helps when you're
yeah.
married
No,
to someone
no.
that kind of drags you down.
Oh yeah,
You know, it's a lot easier to, I think, to get ahead when you have a wife that, when you're looking for a job, supports you versus one that just is like, you're lazy, you got to get out there and find a job.
yeah. Oh
You know,
yeah. Of the three that I've just done, Scott, does anyone just really grab you and say, "Hey, Ellis, do that one"?
uh, I like the bottom left.
Bottom left. Okay, you like the dark popping against the lighter.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
that's cool. I
yeah,
like that. I
I
like
don't
it too.
like the
I like
top.
it
I
too.
don't
It's a
like the
strong
top.
silhouette.
I don't like the top right because his face is in silhouette,
Uh huh.
and
That's
the one under that is okay, but it doesn't strike me as anything out of the ordinary. But
yeah.
I like kind of the shadow on him, but not in complete silhouette.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents for what it's
Well,
worth.
that one would be fun to do as a drawing, and I could do a lot of.
And
See,
then you're gonna paint it.
I'm just obsessed to start with another one. Once I get that other Batman done, I'm going to plunge right ahead with doing painting based on the pick out method, where I do a really nice sketch, cover it with hairspray, and then do washes all over it, and then paint it. So I've got the methodology all worked out. You saw my
Oh
recent
yeah,
work and on
the one with the
the
cats.
yeah, the in world
Oh no,
stuff.
the in world. Which one? The
Well, the
ring or
the ring
the
and yeah,
intestines?
both of those came pretty close together within a week, and
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. It was very that sort of thing just shows you need that as an artist to be chucking out something all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise you atrophy, and
Yeah,
atrophy
I
is a
think that's
very real
true.
thing.
As Yeah, even though I think that a lot of people that talk about, well, I haven't drawn it. I think drawing is something you can pick up again pretty quick. I don't
Yeah,
think it's,
it comes back to
but
you. Yeah.
you have to work at it.
Hmm.
You know, it's not automatic. Excuse me, a book fell off my desk. Uh, the When I was so I said that I had to do a biography or a bio for that podcast,
Hmm.
and then they wanted a list. They wanted a bio, they wanted links, and they wanted a list of credits. And so I did this list of credits, and it's just like, and you look at it, and I'm like, God, I did a bunch of work. And then I was trying to find the dates for them.
Hmm.
So I was searching in my email because I have a list on my webpage. So I kind of knew, I've kind of sat down and thought about this, but I didn't know the dates on a lot of them. So I had to go in and kind of figure that out. Well, what I did is I searched my emails for the names of some of these stories and comics and stuff.
Hmm.
And I found just like one thing I found that was kind of depressing in one way was I found these long, detailed conversations between me and CB Cebulski,
Okay.
where he was talking, where we were talking, and it's like, God, how could I have talked to this guy for that much and never have gotten anywhere with Marvel? It's like, oh man, you know,
Well,
that's kind of
it just shows you
just didn't
that
work.
you can be a guy that people like, but
Yeah.
it's just like having a crowded bookshelf out there. Your work still has to sell itself on some level, and I'm sure CB probably had, just wanted, probably liked you quite a bit, or he wouldn't have talked to you, and probably would have
Oh,
plugged
sure.
you into something, but just had that final bit of reservation saying, no, the work here
Yeah. Whatever the
just hasn't turned the corner on what we're going to need, and that's that.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, well, what's funny is, I talk to people that that have broken in about that time, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I don't. Did I ever tell you about the inflation thing that
Uh
I figured out? I was looking at I was listening to cartoonist kayfabe,
huh.
and they were reading a John Byrne, again. It goes back to John Byrne, a John Byrne deposition against Marv Wolfman when Marv Wolfman was suing Marvel for the ownership of Blade.
Uh huh.
Okay,
And
and
and and
it
uh,
went to court, and John Byrne and what?
and Byrne would have been all on Marvel's side at that time, I assume.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, he was. His testimony did help them,
Hmm.
but he was. And one of the things he talked about was in 1975, when he broke into Charlton Comics, he was being paid $50 a page,
Hmm.
which sounds terrible. But I looked it up just for grins. I looked it up in the inflation calculator.
Sure.
$50 in 1975 is equivalent to $250 today. It's
Yeah.
like, good grief, you know.
Oh no, we're
It's
totally being raped by the price of living anymore. You you
Well, but I would argue that part of that particular problem is comics just don't pay, man.
yeah.
And it's like, good grief. I can't imagine had I broke into comics, working there, and then, you get in there and you're 45, 50 years old, and all of a sudden that you're like, well, we're bringing in, some new blood,
Hmm.
and you're out on your tail, and you've got no, you don't get, I mean, and if it's like a new, like, starting page rate for Marvel, if you were to work on a full-time book, I figured out one time, and it comes out to just under $40,000 a year, which doesn't sound like I mean, in Oklahoma you can live on that,
Yeah, you could.
absolutely,
Hmm.
but that doesn't include taxes. You lose like 38% of it to taxes
Oh yeah.
because they don't pay employment taxes,
Yeah.
and you don't get any kind of benefits, and it's just like, good grief.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, it's
you
absurd.
know,
It's like, but what's doubly you know insidious about it is it's almost like, well, this is just a part-time gig. No, it's one of the most full-time gigs
yeah, I know.
you could ever
Yeah,
land, is having to do comics. You'd be
yeah.
night and day sticking your nose in that. Just no way
Oh,
around it.
absolutely. That's the other thing is, like, man, it'd be hard to find a more demanding job, I think.
Hmm.
And you'd be constantly in fear of, like, well, if they,
What were your deadlines?
if they fire me, there's, 50 people equally as good as me they're just chomping at my job,
Oh yeah.
you know. I got my Morbius. Did you see my What do you think about Morbius?
That's
I mean, he's
Morbius, huh?
not.
Well, he's kind of distorted, I think, right now from my viewpoint. Shift him around, rotate him. Let me see if he's still distorted. Yeah, it's a little proportionally. Hmm,
Oh yeah. You know
yeah,
what he needs? He needs more twist somewhere.
yeah, he needs maybe a little bit of a twist. He needs either a smaller lower body or a bigger upper body. That's what I'm seeing. Is that you've got
Okay.
that agreement a little off. So you're going to erase that. Yeah, that's probably the easier thing to draw. And you might think
I'll
about
put it.
like
I'll put a twist in it while I'm doing. I'll do him like this.
I think it's something more dynamic with the arm too would be better. I would say that one arm you've just got kind of up in the air over on the left. Put that way in the
Well,
back,
I'm gonna
way in the
draw the
back of
Punisher.
him. Put that
I'm gonna
way
put the
in back.
Punisher right here. I'm gonna put He's gonna be practically hugging the Punisher.
Yeah, but that's not
No.
what you want him to do. You want him to have that arm way back, like he's got his talons just totally tensed up like this, and he's gonna rake that across the Punisher's face, and it's also going to have a tension that it doesn't have
Oh,
now.
this. You're talking about.
Yeah,
You're talking about this
that
one.
hand, just
You're talking about
draw
this
you.
arm.
Yeah,
Oh,
draw,
okay.
draw right now. Just go ahead and draw from his shoulder. Just draw
Oh,
a little. From his shoulder, just draw a spike. No, not that direction. Down lower, down lower.
oh, like
Uh,
here.
no, here you go. Draw like this. Here you go. Watch this. This line as I draw it. Right from his shoulder, where you've got the shoulder, just draw like that,
Yeah.
and just get that gesture of that with that
Oh, you
little.
mean like
Yeah, just
this?
yeah, draw it like that. Only no,
So it's
no. Send it out there. Get,
oh, like this,
yeah,
like
like
that.
that. Yeah, like that.
Oh,
See,
oh,
can you see?
okay.
Can you see how much more?
Oh, yeah. That works.
I don't know. You
And
don't
then
have to
I'll
change. You don't have to change it, but
now that I've erased it all.
yeah, there you go. Well,
No, no, no.
at least you've got a good eraser that picks it up. Whatever you do, I mean that's what I discovered while I was working on that in-world stuff. I thought to myself, how long has it been since I did a drawing like that one I did for the guts thing, where I just drew and erased, drew and erased, and drew and erased. And it's like it's the only way I should ever work. I should just keep after something that I model it right, like what I'm doing here. This is all about like when you get to the idea of transferring and drawing, you've got your light source worked out. You got your drawing. Your drawing. That's the reason Frazetta. Frazetta may have been a master of putting paint down on canvas, yes, but there wasn't a single one of those little masterpieces that weren't uh, completely great drawings before he did those paintings. And I went on a deep dive the other day on finding a whole bunch of his roughs. That what is really nice is here we go. Well, let's see. Yeah, Morbius looks mid slap. Well, maybe that's a criticism of my notions about what that pose ought to be. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm changing. He's gonna be grabbing the Punisher by his head, and that arm's gonna be crooked around him, and he's gonna be hauled back like he's getting ready to.
Mm-hmm.
And Punisher is gonna just be kind of hanging on to him because they're falling out a window.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. Yeah, Wim joined us. Joined us.
Joined us.
Sounds like
Sounds
jaundice,
like he
doesn't it?
got jaundiced.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, have you been watching anything that was of interest to you, or have you had no time for a little pop culture stuff?
I've been watching The Sopranos
Oh, cool.
again. I mean, I watched them before, but I watched them. They were so disjointed. I didn't make them through very much the first time, and so I'm kind of trying to whip through them a little bit faster this time, and I'm enjoying it more.
Hmm. Sometimes
Yeah,
those
I
look.
mean, not that these are fun people to be around, but
No, huh?
okay. What do you think about this, Ellis?
Let's see. Well, it's just too static. One of those guys needs to really be about being the main guy. It's one guy needs to be the alpha, and one guy needs to be his losing the thing. And it needs some. They're falling out a window, and what you've
Yeah,
done is the the cheesy special effect where they've got a guy on a green chair and he's not doing anything dynamic, and yet he's supposed to be sailing through the air. So you've got guys that you aren't doing deep foreshadowing, and this is the moment falling out a window where that sort of stuff has to occur. That sort of thing has to occur, and that hand, if you want it dynamic, you're going to have that hand be twice as large as what you're currently drawing it, and you're going to have to deeply foreshadow, foreshorten. Get you some licks in here of Marvel cliches. Try to figure out what it is they all do. Of course, burn, and this is the reason. I'm always the guy that says, "Yeah, you like burn, huh?" Yeah, and I'm always the guy that's like, "Yeah, me not so much." And
yeah.
that's probably a big style absorption difference between the two of us. I'm more of some of those cliches that I liked in Kirby and others were, of course, I like, you could say Al Williamson was a guy that was super static, because he's obviously often coming off photo reference. Nothing Al Williamson liked better than having a little photo shoot before he got started on some of that stuff. And especially if Frazetta is willing to take his shirt off for you. Back in the day, that was part of that deep dive. That was one of those shots I came across. It was obviously one where Frazetta was getting ready to do Tarzan. He had a loincloth on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Frazetta girls. I wonder what the family relationship, if it's still kind of poisonous between the son and the daughters or not. Because I love that. I appreciate the Frazetta girls, but I get the feeling that's still not a great thing between them, because they accused him
No,
of theft and all that.
I don't think it will be. I mean, because there's
Ever
too
again,
much.
bro. Yeah, too much is passed
Yeah, there's
between
too
them.
much money.
Yeah, money. Once you get on Heritage and you realize what some of that sold for,
Oh my gosh.
That Egyptian queen sold for $1 million plus.
But did the family have it, or had it been sold? Because that's the thing, is like a lot of Frazetta stuff.
Oh,
I don't know that for.
that's true. Yeah, it may have been a secondary sale. I don't know.
I mean, I think they're making some money off of him, and certainly later in life. But I think, man, when he was doing like the Ballantine paperbacks and stuff, and certainly the creepy stuff. I think he was getting screwed on some of that stuff.
Well, he wasn't trying to sell it back then. Yeah, I was going to talk about that. That the deep dive I did, I found one site that you could click a link for and get little small thumbnails of his entire history.
Any better?
Let's have a look. Rotate it to where I can use my symbol mine to look at them. Okay, yeah, that looks better. Yeah, that's a little better. I've messed you up now. I'd say go back to thumbnails and get you a little bitty drawing that you think is just screaming, this needs to be done. Get a really good silhouette. Get a really good silhouette going, Silhouettes are everything, It's right there you're going to have a really equal silhouette. You need to get designy and figure out how people go through a window, for one thing. It's and they're so big for that background excitement of that vertigo. You might want to make them smaller. Sorry, I've got all sorts.
I thought.
I've got all sorts of editorial coming out of me tonight, don't I?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
But I hate the idea that I'm blocking your process by giving it out. Just draw what you want to draw. I'm really bad about that sort of stuff. Oh, I remember, trying to. If you've got no patience, you probably shouldn't do stuff like that. I have a short fuse on patience on some stuff. Just not a saint, I guess, is what I'm saying. What was that? What was the thing about a saint I was seeing the other day that I thought was kind of interesting? Oh yeah. I found
I think everybody does.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be helpful for that. I'll do that. I'll just quit right there on those. That's enough tips on how I may go with it when I transfer it. And that's just lighting. I'm calling the drawing good enough. And when I transfer it, I'll just do the outline first, and then once the transfer is really strong on it, then I'll come along and start doing some penciling that looks at shading and stuff like that. You may have been right about me being the guy that was cycling in and out. My whole image went away at one point and came back, but
oh really?
Yeah. Kind of freaked me out. It's like,
it seemed
what do I got?
It seemed to straighten out as we went along.
Yeah. Well, that can be a part of my obviously my connection too. Could be flaking out here and there. Yeah, I could come along and colorize those as well. I could get a little cheap bit of watercolor going on it and say, think about this. I think I'll do some drawing now. I think I'll draw your picture to thoroughly enrage you with my notions about. No, I don't think I'll do that. That would be a little much. Like this, Scott.
Yeah, just like this.
Just like this. Look, do the soles of his feet.
It's my fault. I did invite you. I did email you and say, hey, you on live stream? You on live stream? I should have known when you emphatically answered yes with an exclamation point that something was up.
You know why I emphatically answered yes? Because I was on my iPad and it has that option of not having to type. So I said, let's look at these options. Okay, yes does it, but yes with a Exclamation point. Well, I guess it's what they're offering me. I'll go with that. It's like my enthusiasm may not have been there, but the exclamation point was. Bad writing. Oh yeah, I said I was going to draw it.
There, I made them smaller. Can you see this? You probably can't even see that. It's so light.
Yeah, well, your focus is bad on my side of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to draw and think about. Well, you should check that little tutorial out, Scott. I found it very. I admired it as a guy that
Did you and you
because it's such well packed up information, in terms of like how to measure. Yes, I did. It's in. It will be on this podcast in the information below. Just like how I always have your web pages and all that other stuff included in our little stuff.
I'll check it. I'll check it out.
Okay. I'll check it out. I'll just make sure that you link to it at some point by sending you an email, maybe.
There you go.
Oh, I wanted to say about Frazetta though. From 63 to 73 or 74, that was everything he was doing for paperback covers. And at that point, Betty Ballantine put out his book. It was a huge success. And at that point, you could honestly say that for 10 years worth of work, Frazetta was set because they made a lot of money off all those Ballantine books that followed. You get a bestseller, you're done. You're in good shape. Natasha International says, evening, Natasha. And I thought about that. It's like that guy and when you realize that in 63, almost all of those Edgar Rice Burroughs issues that Frazetta did that were almost semi-watercolory, those were all done. That 1 year, he was driving himself crazy with the deadlines, but he did them all.
How many books did he do? Did he do 5 or 6?
How many have you got? Those things are worth a lot of money. I've got my copies in loose leaf. Wow. That's great. That's great that you got yours still bound.
I paid 10 for some of these.
Those are great.
Oh, yours are. Would you break them apart?
Yeah. I cut the spine.
Yeah, they are great books.
Put them in loose leaf format.
That's a nice.
It is a nice way to have them. As a matter of fact, it makes me. Hey, I'll go. You talk. Hey, did you see what Ethan Nicole is working on? What is Ethan Nicole working on? Tell me. Write it out, and I want to know.
I don't know
because I know Ethan has had to spring back a few times from from hard hits, and he always finds the way to do it. He's a published author.
That's that.
I think he's the first time I ever heard of the guy of the writer Saved the Cat, because not only did he know about the guy that wrote Saved the Cat, he took a class with him and actually wrote his Bear Mageddon as a script for him, but he eventually had to table that because X-Cop blew up so much. Hey, look at that, how nicely you measured up that head. That's really nice. Really came out strong on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was a quick little bit of marionette.
You said something good about
something positive.
Exactly.
God, that's awful. I hate criticism myself. I don't know how I can sit here and lay it on you.
Oh, it is. Trust me, if I had a problem with it, I do not. I mean, dude, literally, I get criticism all day at work
Sure.
about stuff, and it's like it's nothing personal, man. It's just it's got to be, and I give it out. I give it out way more than I get it.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Well,
and
yeah,
I
you have to be
had to get on with one of
editorializing
my
all the time.
employees.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, if it looks crappy, I get an
Yeah.
email like, "Hey, what happened here?" You
Hmm.
know, it's like even if I didn't see it, I'm responsible for it. You know.
Let's see if we've got an answer here from Xander's Rants. D-Wire just said they got him and Eric Branscombe to do some cartoons. D-Wire. What is D-Wire, Scott? Maybe you can tell me for Xander Rants.
No idea.
Because I know Eric
No
too.
idea.
Eric is quite the funny guy. They're both very funny guys that are they're comedy writers. They are very funny guys, and that's once marketable talent. If someone's truly got it, if they're good at gags and humor in general, you should always be able to find somebody that's paying out for that because most of us are pretty grim, you know. Daily Wire, very cool. Yeah, Daily Wire is a pretty big deal. If you're a Nazi, no, I have no idea
yeah,
what.
that is a pretty big deal.
I have no idea what Daily Net Wire's like. Let me think. I bet I've got a hot link to that. Let me check without blanking us off the screen.
Yeah.
Since I've done that before. Let me see if I've got that under news. Should have, I bet. I've got Revolver, Zero Hedge, Ground News, Forbes, New York Post. I see Daily Wire all the time. Where is that? Let me look at it. Obviously, if I type in Daily Wire, I'll get there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I need to drag this one into news. Make sure I checking on it more likely. I'll stick it right under Zero Hedge. There we go. You can tell everything I do is right wing. Xander Rants is kind of Ethan's animation assistant. Oh, that's groovy. I think I've seen some of these. These are the kind of motion comics that they do that adds a little bit of this and that to the gag. Yeah. You do a 3-panel gag with the usual kind of setup and all that. Oh yeah, did you hear about the art book that David Finch is putting out with all his Monday night drawings for the past year? That would be a good book.
Yes.
Finch is one of those guys that you see his stuff, and you almost automatically say, I want to copy that. That is fantastic rendering. But then it's like, okay, if I go down this rabbit hole, I will become, basically a guy that's doing Finch. Basically, he's got a certain way he hatches. He's, and it's a brilliant school of rendering. I love it.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good Finch book here. I know it's shocking.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I would. All his tutorial stuff is always so strong. He lays it out so well.
I got this. Have you ever seen any of these?
No, The Dark Knight Unwrapped. I
DC
can't get over
these.
you. You seem to just like reach over and pull out book. Is your bookshelf right next to your drawing table?
Within about 3 feet.
Okay.
This room is packed full of books.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
mean,
look at that.
horribly so. But this is a run that Finch did, but that they printed in pencils.
Cool. Look at that. That's ready to be inked.
Look
And
at that.
that's the point. Yeah, yeah. You're not going to get lost inking that. He's showing you exactly what he wants on that stuff.
Oh yeah. And I actually got this. Barnes and Noble was running a special where you'd buy 2 books and get a third one for free.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a Greg Capullo, and DC does these a lot. I got a Greg Capullo Batman. I've got this one. And then I've got a Adam Kubert Flash, and I've got 2 Jim Lees. That's the first one I got was Hush. You get Hush in this penciled format like this.
Who would you say Adam Kubert looked? He doesn't look. I think he can look like his dad if he wishes to, but he's got a little of that in him. But he's decided not to look just like his dad.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's got a different look, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny you say it because I was looking at that Flash book not long ago. Because there's a new Flash movie coming out that somebody told me is going to be based off of that particular arc. So I was reading it.
Oh, and they're releasing a book with
but
Todd McFarlane's inks for his Spider-Man run. Now, this is that early Spider-Man run before he started Image. In full 11 by 17, 200 some odd pages. Now, that would be a book I would be very interested in for the sake of all that. If there's one guy that was solid gold on gesture, it was McFarlane back then while he was doing those Spider-Man. He was twisting and sticking extremities out from the joints in just great, highly appealing little ways that were just like popping with energy, you know. And I think everybody reacted to that. And they said, "This is the guy we've been waiting for Spider-Man." And you know,
yeah,
he instantly made himself a guy you followed over into Image once he started that. That was kind of like, you know, those guys looked around and said, "Hey." Or the guy that looked around and said, "Hey," was Liefeld, probably the least artist, said, "Hey, we're hot stuff. Let's start our company." And the other guys were smart enough to listen to Rob Liefeld. I think that's the way it went.
Okay,
Isn't that the way you always heard it?
I think Todd. No, I think Todd was the instigator because.
Oh, really? Okay.
He comes out of his family owns like a big print shop somewhere, and so he comes out of more of a commercial art kind of background.
Uh-huh.
And
so
he was always at odds with him. And I think he got Rob on pretty quick though. Him and Rob kind of got along. Rob Liefeld has a lot of podcasts, and he does like a podcast a week and has for like 2 or 3 years. And he's talked about how Image was formed. Okay, here's what I'm going with, Ellis.
Okay. Yeah. The overlap is starting to work, maybe. I just feel like you draw things and bring them up, and it's impressive that you can invent, but you just, you've got this aversion to finding some sort of hot reference before you start. It's like, you know, if you were to find a couple of martial artists that were clashing in the big middle of an arena to give you some energy to start with in terms of like what you were going to throw up on the page, you know, I mean, just to look at it, just to have it, you know, look at it real quick. Or for that matter, do a search right before you start saying, people falling out of a window, you know. I don't know. It might give you a notion about some dynamics that is semi, is kind of missing, you know.
I will work on it. I
Okay.
will not draw anything on this
I
until
don't want
I've
you to.
done.
I don't want you to just render on a drawing that doesn't ultimately doesn't excite too much. Even though you're Spider-Man and
Well, no,
Kingpin came out pretty good. I like that. And amazingly, the transformation
I don't
that
think I
went.
showed that on.
Yeah, show that. Now what's really cool about that, you added the logo and all that of a typical Spider-Man issue, and that double
Yeah,
transforms it. There's something about
yeah.
uh, the graphic impact when you had all that logo work in place on it that was really cool. So
Yeah, I put it, and it kind of came down to here, and then I think
hmm
I cropped it a little bit, so I kind of moved it up.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. I don't know what kind of pencil I used, but man, it's getting dirty, smearing bad.
Well, yeah.
Oh well.
You render a lot, of
Oh
course.
yeah,
You
look at
look
the
at
back
you
of that
look at that.
page.
Yeah, look at that thing. I was saying, yeah. Sometimes I'll
That's
watch
okay.
fight scenes from
That's what this
YouTube
is.
on my phone and pause it at certain points, screenshot it, and try to copy the figure. A
That's
lot
probably a
of
good
Bruce
idea.
Lee screenshots. Yeah, and I know you love Bruce Lee
It's
too.
it's it's well, it's funny you say that because I have decided that instead of cruising around on Amazon and HBO Prime trying to find a movie to watch on Saturdays, on Saturday nights, I am going to start watching kung fu movies again. I
Yeah,
went through a
excellent.
phase a few years ago watching kung fu movie every Saturday night. So last Saturday I watched Master of the Flying Guillotine,
Oh, that's a good one.
and
I
so
saw
that's
that
what I'm gonna
one.
start doing. So
That
yeah,
was in the first wave of the kung fu that was coming over
dude,
here.
that's something I'm gonna just
What
yeah,
was
that's
that?
something I'm just gonna
What?
incorporate in my weekly thing.
Yeah. Do
Do what?
drawings from it. Yeah. What was that thing you recently linked us all up to? That 100. It was going to cost $100 for those three films that were in the monster archives of.
You're blinking out again, Ellis. I can't understand you.
Okay. The Aid is really awesome, Scott. Yeah, that's got all that. What do you call that when
What's
they
awesome? Oh, the raid. I got the raid. I
right,
got the raid 1 and 2. Yeah, the raid's good.
some great fight choreography in those things. Well, Scott, you ready to call it a day? Even though I think we have a crowd of three people that at least touch base with us. That's pretty neat. Very cool
Yeah,
news from
yeah, yeah,
Xander Rants about Ethan and all that, because that was such a
yeah. That's cool.
you know they axed him for very abruptly. It seemed like to me it was a kind of a dick move the way they put him out in the cold. So I don't know how that's working out for him.
A lot of dick
From
moves going
from
on in the world nowadays.
there are a lot of dick moves. Yeah, there's a lot of heartlessness out there. Well, Scott, you want to say anything before
Absolutely.
we go? Yeah,
No,
yeah.
thanks,
You
thanks
got.
everybody. Yeah, thanks for nothing, Ellis, and thanks
Yeah.
everybody else. No,
I was gonna say.
no,
I
no,
was gonna
no.
say. I was
This
gonna
is.
say dick
I mean,
moves.
even
I
though
was
you're always
giving you.
busting my chops, dude, I can. It's
I was gonna say dick moves. All that criticism I leveled. It's like Scott,
nah,
do
no, no,
this,
no.
do that.
Yeah, I've erased this thing 16 times,
There we go.
but that's okay. No, no, no. That's not, dude. It's no big deal. This is practice,
Uh,
and this whole thing that I'm doing here is literally just a way to motivate myself to stay on
yeah,
practice and to try and do more completed stuff and to push myself. And so, if you're a little, you're giving me advice, I
Oh,
am appreciative of it.
hey,
Thank you.
I wanted to drop one little factoid that I learned the other day, and I wanted to know if you had ever heard this. You've heard of you've heard of roid rage, right? Roid rage. Okay, I guess we're done. Okay, Scott, I'll end the broadcast.
Of what? You dropped out.
Okay, have you ever heard of Roy? Okay, we'll end it here.
Okay.
I kind of don't like that kind of snafooing. Okay, ending broadcast.